Hi, my name's Mary Spender, and you are watching
Tuesday Talks!
Nailed it. And I'm with the very handsome, very talented Zane Carney.
Tuesday Talks.
It's not live.
I'm kidding.
So I'll just give a little bit of backstory to this whole video because we've both just played at Boss's 40th anniversary
That's right.
private party to launch their big event at House of Vans. And it was a really fun evening.
Super fun. And that
Super fun.
that pedal's really fun. You got to play on that now.
The JHS.
Yeah, the JB2.
The JB2.
It's really cool. It's very versatile.
The Angry Driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I haven't played it yet, but Zane played it tonight.
I did play it tonight, and I used it on 3 or 4 songs.
Very cool.
It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would sound cool with that little thunder pickup maybe too.
Yes. Shout out to Andy Holt.
Sup?
Okay, so how did you meet Avril Lavigne?
I met Avril through my voice teacher in 2015. We had the same voice teacher.
Wow.
And I was going through a little bit of a health complication that Avril happened to have experienced in her life. And she was getting better, and I thought, maybe she knows better doctors. So I wrote my voice teacher and said, I don't want Avril's number. I'm not trying to get in touch with her.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know what doctor she's gone to, if she's open to talking. Tell her if you want to tell her that I played with John Mayer. Maybe that'll make her feel more comfortable. I'm not trying to leech. And then I get a text 8 minutes later. Hey, honey, this is Avril. I'm so sorry you're going through this. You're going to be fine. Here are these tests you should consider, and here are these, herbal treatments you should consider. And I was like, wow, so generous. And then we became texting pen pals for 3 months. Just
Oh my God.
yeah, because part of what we had was you get really fatigued and wouldn't hang out with people as much, and it almost felt like one of those movies where you have a pen pal and you become best friends. You've never met them.
Yeah.
And then we finally met in September, I think, of 2015, and we just hit it off right away.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I want to hear your music. You're a solo artist too? I said, yeah, I'm a solo artist. And so I played her one of my songs, and she was very nice about it. She's like, ooh, we should write some songs together. All right, I'll try. I'm not the best co-writer. I'll try. And then we ended up writing 4 songs. I'm not sure how many are going to be on our next record, but we've written 4 songs that we're both really proud of. So
Cool.
It's crazy.
Well, that's pretty satisfying.
Yeah.
Even just have 4.
I know. Even just to have learned too about writing in a more pop format. That's not a format that I normally write in. So
Yeah.
I learned a lot from her as far as clarity. I can write things for other people if it's in a pop realm that maybe I would listen to, but I wouldn't want to speak as an artist. Mm-hmm. Maybe an analogy I could think of is an Italian chef might not eat Italian. They enjoy cooking it, whether they want to eat Mexican or. For me, my lyrical voice is decidedly. It's still becoming a thing, but it's not always the most pop friendly lyric writing style.
What is it about co-writing that you haven't necessarily jammed with so far?
I think part of it is. I think some of it comes back to being a jazz musician, because you also play jazz, and we've talked about this. I mean, theory and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's this thing in the jazz community. I'm not sure what it is. It might be snobbery, but there's this thing where it's there's so many hours of practice and knowing your instrument that to bring someone else in the process feels sort of I just want to play what I want to play, and then in your solo I'll support you playing what you want to play. But the idea of talking about a solo with another horn player and be what do you think about this line I chose? It's just we don't do that in jazz. It's just you solo whatever you want, however you want, and then I'll do that over here. So when I co-write, it feels sort of like showing someone my solo. Is this a good part of the solo? And they go, nah, I don't like that. I go, oh, dang, okay, I thought that was a cool idea. And but imagine that being a lyrical thing or a fixed melodic thing. So I tend to kind of prefer writing solo, but the stuff I write solo is just for me, and I'm still building an audience as a solo artist. So
Yeah.
probably would be wise to just say I'm a co-writer. But yeah, now that being said, I have 2 or 3 songs that have been co-written that are for me, and I really do enjoy singing those songs. So I think it's I'm probably going to continue to co-write more and see how that feels down the line.
Cool. Yeah, I'm very new to the co-writing thing.
Yeah.
I've really only co-written properly with professional songwriters for 1 song. So
Okay,
far.
yeah, got it.
Yeah, and the rest of it.
How was that experience?
Do you know, it was really eye-opening. You know when you just don't have a song that clicks yet, and you know it could be so much better.
And then they helped it become
God,
better.
Yeah, but they're professionals,
Right.
they get it.
This guy, the song "I Have Something in the Water." I know the whole night tonight we were both running around during each other's sets, but that was the first song I played. And this guy Jamie, he's British. He helped me write that song, and it was like, he's a professional songwriter. He came up with words that weren't even generic. I figured most co-writers would just use these generic sort of like, I love you and you love me.
No.
He came up with these ideas that were like, wow, this is like, you're wildly creative. Yeah. And but there's still moments even in that song where I'm still learning how to convey the words, because they were all written with me in the room, and I was very adamant about certain choices. But the song ends with the lyric that I normally wouldn't sing myself, but everyone agreed in the co-writing, like, this needs to be this. And part of the experiment for me in that co-write was not to put my foot down and say, well, I'm the artist, I'm going to change it. It was to open up and say, I'm going to try this new thing, and I want to keep this song the way it is, to kind of learn that way of speaking. But the song ends with something in the water, keep thinking we still got me. There's nothing left to wonder, you and I are gonna be okay. And just the idea of ending a song on the words like, we're gonna be okay, that feels sort of so like morphless, if that's a word. Like, there's no real shape to it. It's sort of like anyone can put themselves in that, which again, I guess that's the pop idea. Anyone can be in that. But I like really specific lyrics. Like, I have this one song I sang tonight about, like, you know, like the night I lost my kite, it was 97, I was 11. I like imagery and real specific choices. So to sing like the final piece of a song and I'm just singing that lyric, I'm still learning how to, like, how do I look into someone's eyes during that moment and be like, yep, I meant that. Yeah. So a lot of learning going on there.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So you're based in LA now?
Yes, yeah.
But were you in New York for a long time before the Spider-Man thing?
I was in New York as a kid, and then I did that child acting stuff, which we talked about a little bit tonight. Yeah. And that ended when I was... the show ended when I was 12, then I did a little bit more acting until I was 14. And by then our family just said, all right, well, I'll just stay in LA. And then I moved back to New York for Spider-Man, Turn Off the Dark in 2010. So I've kind of lived half and half in each city.
How many shows did you do?
That's a great question. I've never been asked that in life or otherwise. How many shows? Well, we did 8 shows a week. And I was very much discouraged from subbing out because the director of the show, Julie Taymor, who did Lion King, which is like the craziest Broadway show of all time as far as like styling and music and all, but also as far as sales. And she came up to me during previews and was like, you're not subbing out though, are you? I was like, well, yeah, it's kind of a rule in the union, like I can sub out I think 24 shows a year. She's like, no, Edge wrote all these parts, and like, you know, you've been entrusted with this role, like you have to, because Bono and Edge wrote the music to it. So I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I kind of like the idea of not subbing out because I'll make more money.
Yeah.
But I was also like, I know that I'm going to burn out, and you need to have subs in case like your finger gets run over by a car. You need a sub that night.
Exactly.
Let's have at least 2 or 3. And to have 2 or 3 subs, they got to get in frequently, or else they forget the book. And they go, why did I learn your book to get paid $200 once? Like, this is a hard show, 3-hour show. I need to get paid. So that was difficult to navigate. But yeah, 8 shows a week, 50. I mean, roughly. Wow, really? That many shows? That's crazy.
It adds up.
I mean, it's definitely over 500.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the math here? Cause
how did you like? Okay, so I did a musical which I really enjoyed, and it was a very new piece, and we did 42 shows, and I had my MD and I was the guitarist, and like 42 shows, I was like. After
that, you're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the whole process. The rehearsals were brilliant, and the performances were great, but 42 shows, I was like, I don't understand how people are on Broadway for 25 years. And
I did have the not benefit really. Well, it was a benefit, but I had the situation where 2013 around February, I got a phone call from John Mayer's tour manager. He wrote me through my website, just like an email thing, like, can you give me your number? This is about work with John Mayer. And I thought, oh, I'm about to release my debut, like my very first EP. He must have known about my band Carney. He must want me to open for John Mayer. I was like stoked about that. And then he called me and said, no, we want you to play guitar in the band. It's like, really? Oh, okay. And I actually this is funny how this stuff works. You know it as an artist, like, because you just want to promote your stuff and be the artist. I actually thought about it for like 2 days. I think John knows this. I hope he knows this. But of course he knows it, because he called me and said, what do you think? And I was like, I just left a band, and I had this idea that like 2013 was going to be a big year as a solo artist. So I was like, can I think about it for like a day or two? He's like, take your time. And then I called James Valentine from Maroon 5, the guitar player.
Yeah.
He's the person that told John about me. I was like, dude, you told John? He's like, yeah, no, I told him about you and Blake Mills, and yeah, that's cool that he called you. And I said, yeah, should I do this? He's like, what are you talking about? Yes. I said, no, I'm just trying to do a solo artist thing. He's like, dude, if you do 4 shows in this tour, LA, Nashville, New York, and whatever else it is, like, all of his agents and managers and label, they're all going to be watching and seeing you, and he's probably going to give you some solos, and, like, that's a way better entrance point than, like, cold calling with your CD. It's like, that's an interesting point. Okay, that's a great point. And then then that tour obviously was fantastic and amazing, and it led to recording on Paradise Valley and all that stuff too, so it's freaking awesome. But yeah, so I took off some time from Spider-Man to do that. Cool. So I probably only did I did every preview, did something about that, which was, we broke the record for Broadway previews by like 80 shows. We did like 183 previews, I think, which you should do like 4 or maybe 8. We did 180 some.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And so I had to do every one of those, and then when it opened in 2011, I did at least 250 shows a year until May or so. Yeah, probably did like 750 shows.
Oh my God. Okay, so I know you've already spoken about it, but the John Mayer tour, like how was the actual like day-to-day working of those shows?
It was, well, he makes it so easy because he's way generous to his band. I mean, there is this element of like, oh, he does arenas, he sells them out, he must be taking care of bands. He does. You don't have to. You can have a huge arena tour, like a pop tour, and still pay your band not very well, and still have them stay at the Holiday Inns and the outskirts while you stay at the Ritz-Carlton, which is fine. That's like, I'm not even saying that in a negative way. Maybe I'd do that one day. Probably not, but I might. But he's very generous. We stayed at like the Four Seasons. Wherever he stayed, we'd stay either with him at whatever the nice hotel was, or he'd stay at some really cool, fancy, like new place, and we'd still stay at the Ritz-Carlton. It was like, dude, this is so overkill. It's so nice and generous. So that part made it really easy to just focus on the music. They took care of us. Even the first day, our assistant tour manager who rode the bus with the band, because John has his own, bus. She goes, cool, so the bags will be taken up to your room. I'm like, oh, I got them. She's like, no, we got this. And so every time we pull up to the hotel, there's just someone would take our bags up and they just be upstairs.
So cool.
Like, okay.
Thanks for the job.
Yeah, I know. So then I eventually started bringing my amp, my little small Sigmund amp, this Midnight Special. And I was like, can I throw that on the bus too? They're like, sure. I'm like, can I just have it brought up to my hotel room every night? So before like fractals and Kempers were like really a thing the past 2 years. 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So I'd have a little amp in a flight case in my room I just pull it out and practice. So overkill. But I know, it was awesome. And then as far as playing the music, it was extremely free. I mean, there was one night where we played, what's that song called? Speak For Me. And I was in soundcheck, and he was like, dude, we should do like a crazy intro. We did it like A major to B major over A. So like, we could get nerdy on this video. Secondary dominance, anyone? 5, 7, and 5, am I right? So we do, in third inversion. So 5, 4, 2 of 5. Google it. I swear it's 5, 4, 2 of 5. That's some classical figured-based terminology.
All right.
Anyway,
I'll take your word for it.
Take my word for it. So we ended up, he was like, we did that sound check, and then I think it was that show or sometime later, we just were playing the song on stage in front of the audience, and then on the mic, he's like, Zane, take a bebop solo. And I was like, okay. So I just did like the most lit, melodic minor mode, bebop chromatic intro. And he was totally cool with it.
Yeah.
And afterwards was actually like, what the heck were you doing? Like, what was that stuff? So.
Well, he must be able to put his trust in his band. Like, if he's chosen his band.
Yeah, totally.
Like, that's part of the fun of being in a band. Otherwise, he'd just do a solo show.
Yeah, totally.
So,
and you do hire, that's true. But also, he gave such great guidance. I mean, I learned a lot from him. I definitely came into it very sure of my guitar choices, but like he would say, like the Grateful Dead stuff, he'd talk about the groove, and there were a lot of times where I have to really slow down and go, okay, I think I'm getting this, but I'm not really. I'm going to go shed some more, and then tomorrow at the next rehearsal, hopefully he'll notice that I shed. And usually he did. He's like, okay, that's it. That's the vibe. And he's a king of subtlety in that regard. Like, I mean, the intro to Queen of California, I don't know if I ever got that right. It really depended on how loud I was in his mix. Because if I was loud enough, I could play it like it was in the record, which was super light. Real light with like a little bit of compression, probably because of how it was recorded, not because of the actual amp. So if I dug in too hard, it was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And if I played it too light, it was like, come on, let's go. So depending on how the amp was each night, we'd start with that song. I never knew, amps change. I never knew, like, is this a hard night or not? And I'd start the song and go, lighter. And Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, I always felt like I didn't quite nail his feel, because he starts the song with the riff, and then he goes to the high guitar riff. And I take over his riff with a tone that's similar to his, and hopefully a feel that's similar. And every night I was like, because I'm like him, I really pick up on nuance. I was like, I didn't nail it tonight, but then the next night I would. I learned a lot.
That's crazy to hear that even musicians of your caliber and then his caliber, like there's still that change every night. Like
I feel it.
It's cool to know, actually. It gives like...
Yeah. Oh, dude, I've had some
nights... That's a lot of insight.
That's cool. Yeah, I've definitely had nights where I'm like, what am I doing? I definitely had at least 10 nights on that tour where I was like, he's going to fire me. I'm terrible. And then the next night I was like, next night I was like, this is awesome, man. Oh man, like, and for me it was never about my guitar solos. He gave me like 4 to 7 solos a night, which is like, why? You're John Mayer, but he was just generous, and he said at one point he really enjoyed playing rhythm guitar behind solos because it's fun actually to play rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
And I was one of the first people who like really, because Robbie and all those guys are such great guitar players. Obviously Robbie McIntosh, holy cow! But I definitely come from like that. The band I had with Carney, I was a lead guitar player, and that's kind of only been my role until playing with John. So he was like, dude, you're a lead guitar player, like, just take some solos, man. I can chill now and just play rhythm. So I'd take a lot of solos, and it was, if I had some great solo nights, but I still played bad rhythm guitar behind him, I'd be really depressed that night. Because I'm getting paid to be his rhythm guitar player. The lead guitar thing is like the cherry on the top, but no one's coming to see Zane Carney take a guitar solo at a John Mayer show. They're coming to see John Mayer solo. So I'd have whack solo nights, but I could feel my rhythm guitar playing was like so in sync with him. And I do a lot of harmonic movement in my rhythm playing. It's not just chords, so I'd have moments where I saw him speaking something melodically, and I'd do a counterpoint, or like I'd maybe change a chord to a minor chord because I heard him going there to the blues thing, and those nights I'm like, yes, I earned my job. Yeah.
Well, that's incredible. Thank you very much for sharing that story.
Yeah, totally.
And thanks for joining me in your hotel room, actually.
In my hotel room. We're just hanging out.
For this Tuesday talk.
Yeah. Wait, how did you do it? What was the accent you did?
Tuesday talks.
Tuesday talks. Got it. Kind of.
Well, you can just do it as like Tuesday talks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I can't do an American accent.
I see.
Wait, just say it. So Tuesday talks.
Tuesday talks.
Tuesday talks.
I can do like a New York accent. Tuesday talks.